that is it something which is too complex for young children, or is it something that only IITians can do?
Design has always been an intent to create something. Empathy is something that's very powerful, that every one of us we can empathize with our parents, we can empathize with our children. Empathy is nothing but putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
Good evening, sir, and welcome to the podcast Little Learners Big Questions, where we try to unravel the mystery of how we can make learning fun. And today the question that we're focusing on is design thinking. So we wanted to know from you, in layman's term, how would you define design thinking to us?
I think as long as we have existed, or even before, even nature, design has always been an intent to create something. So I think none of us have ever not intended to create something. So the minute you intend to create something, you are doing design thinking. The way design thinking is being taught now is saying that intention to create something becomes easier with a step-by-step process.
As you're saying this, the next question that just crops up in my mind is it something which is too complex for young children, or is it something that only IITians can do?
There's no complex at all. There's nothing complex, whether you are young or old. I think the willingness to create, for instance, if I am 10 years old, and if my parent tells me that I must make my own sandwich, then the willingness to make my own sandwich comes first. Do I want to make it or not? And once the parent understands that the child wants to make his or her own sandwich, then how do you go about making that sandwich is what we're really talking about. It's nothing to do with the age. It is to do with what outcome do I want and how do I achieve that outcome.
My next question now is that knowing that this is something which can be done easily at home, so as an educator or as parents out there, how can we do it at home without any fancy materials or in the classroom with just, household objects or things around us?
So let's take the sandwich, Let's take the sandwich. So I'm 10 years old, I feel hungry, and my mother wants to encourage me to be creative. So she says, what do you want? I say, I want to eat something. And then she takes me to the refrigerator and say, from this, whatever there is in the refrigerator, choose what you want. And I choose the bread. And she says, how do you want your bread to be? Do you want tomatoes in it? I say, yes. Then I said, when she asks me, how do you put the tomatoes and the bread? Then I have seen it somewhere in some movie, and therefore I take one bread and I put a tomato on it and I put it back. And then she says, is the tomato coming out? So I'm trying to refine my idea now. I already have the idea of a sandwich. I'm trying to refine my idea. Is the tomato peeping out? Yes, it is. Can you put it back in? How do you therefore make the sandwich, the tomato stand inside the bread? I press it there and I keep it on my plate. I eat it. That's all.
So here what I can also see, sir, is that the parent or the teacher plays quite an important role because they're constantly asking them those guiding questions.
Yes.
So then how do you think that we, as a parent or a teacher, should be there only asking guiding questions without actually answering? I mean, what should we keep in mind?
There's a lovely word called creative confidence. Just like confidence in public speaking, confidence in anything at all, creative confidence is something that develops over time. And if I, as the parent, want my child to be confident in a creative sort of way, in her or own creativity, then I will not, spoon feed the child. I'll keep asking questions, allow the child to make mistakes, allow the tomatoes to fall, allow the bread to fall on the floor, doesn't matter, not rebuke the child if something happens, ultimately, so get all that into account and ultimately pass on the pride of having created that sandwich by the child. Make her feel proud that this is my sandwich, this is what I have created. So there are a lot of things that we have said, right? We talk about failure, we talk about pride, we talk about willingness, we talked about ideas, we talked about refine. So if you notice, there's nothing here that that top corporates don't talk about. There is really no difference.
So, I mean, this is something so beautiful that you just shared with us. And there's so many skills which are kind of encompassed while we are doing design thinking. So it would be lovely if, we can integrate it into the curriculums in the school. But many a times, the teachers are hard pressed for time. And with the already packed curriculum, how do you propose that we can seamlessly integrate design thinking?
Okay, so now we are getting away from the home to the classroom.
Yeah.
And therefore, in the classroom, you follow the process. For instance, in our class, we design thinking is designed with the human in mind, right? I always do design thinking for someone. I always do solve a problem for someone. So in order to solve a problem for someone, I need to know what that person is going through by way of in this case, we can call it a pain. So in class, what the teacher can do is to ask students to understand someone else's pain. So if I want to design for the security guard, I understand what pain the security guard is going through by becoming the security guard. So therefore, I use empathy. I put on the security guard's shoes and I become the security guard for about 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, I'm standing in the hot sun. And my knees start to ache. I start to understand that if I am a security guard, knee pain is what bothers me. So now I have got the pain. Step 1. Step 2 is define the problem. What problem does the security guard have? You start with saying, how might I is a very important HMW. How might we relieve the knee pain of the security guard? Question. So empathize, define. The third is, what are the ideas I have to relieve the pain? One idea could be, can I give him a chair that is neither to sit down nor to stand because he's a guard, he has got to stand. So I got an idea to make a chair in which he just rests his backside on. Idea. But I can't just thrust the idea on him. I go and build a prototype. A prototype is a sample of an idea. It's a drawing or it's just one small box sort of thing. And then I go take this prototype and I test it. I come to Urvi and say, do you think it'll work? 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 I ask several people and everyone gives feedback. And I use this feedback to come back with a final product that the security guard can use in order to relieve his knee pain. So we've gone through 5 steps. Empathize to understand pain. Define to find out what problem I have. Ideas to look for solutions. Prototype to develop my idea, and test to find out if my idea works. That's it.
And at the same time, what I can also understand is that when the learning is connected to real life is when, naturally design thinking will kind of seamlessly integrate when the students are trying to solve the problems that they can see around them.
I think if a student goes through the design thinking process once, then problems around, you see, the whole thing is about looking for problems rather than looking for solutions. What design thinking really does is to help you look for a problem. Many of us run away from a problem, but design thinking helps you go towards a problem. Because you tell yourself, I'm confident enough. I have the confidence to solve any problem. The solution may not be right at all, but that does not mean I cannot start my journey in problem solving.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Thinking Aloud, brought to you in association with Little Learners Big Questions.